So one thing that all scientists do is search for questions and answers. And throughout this process, they come up with hypotheses that they try to prove or disprove. And I think we can actually learn a lot from this scientific process of note-taking, as I believe that throughout our lives, we actually do a lot of experiments that we don't take dedicated notes for. So for example, if you're decluttering your house, how does that affect your life? Or if you're trying to learn feel what kind of insights that you have during the way of learning this new skill. So if you have any question you're trying to answer, or any experiment you're trying to implement into your life, I think these 3 scientific methods of note-taking could really help you or guide you along this journaling method. So I'm a first-year PhD student right now, and I've learned a lot throughout my PhD process about note-taking and journaling in general. And the first skill I really learned is the idea of experiment logging. So within science, what you do is you record all your experiments, successful or not, and all the questions that you pose and answers that you seek. And then you note down what you learned from each of these experiments. And I think this can be really valuable, because usually we only remembered in our real lives whenever we had successes, but we actually don't learn so much from our failures. And the part of learning from your failures in science is almost the most important, cause you can learn so much more from your failures and from your successes. So in general, for this experiment logging, the idea what you do is for each experiment that you make is you write down these sections. So you write down the hypothesis, methods, results, and conclusions. And to translate this, for example, to a real-life experiment is when you're trying to learn a new skill in 30 days, for example, neuroscience. You want to learn as much about the brain in 30 days. You would write down your hypothesis to how you think this would go, what you think you would learn, what you think you would gain from this skill acquisition. You would write down your methods, how you think you're going to learn as much as possible about the brain in 40 days, and you would write down your results. But then in the end, you would also write down your conclusion. So actually how you found that you did after these 40 days, and how you found that you went about it, you can do this in several ways. So the way I usually do it is I have a dedicated lab notebook that is always lying in my office, but I also have a digital kind of second brain or digital notebook. And that for me is in Notion. But there are many apps that you can use, and I will list some of them here, and all of them work quite similar. The only thing is that you just have a few dedicated places where you can write down these thoughts about experiments that you conducted. So the second part of experiment logging is the brain dump.